Hello, lovelies. Back here talking about the Luna, and I just want to talk a little bit about the mother archetype with you. The mother archetype is just so sacred and special and unique, and so important for women to embody it, to heal it if it holds trauma, if it's fractured, if it's never lived. It needs to be activated. When the archetype mother is full of trauma, either through difficult pregnancy, birth trauma, stillbirth, abortion, if we hold trauma in this area or never experienced pregnancy or had to experience infertility, there's so much trauma and suffering that sits in this archetype, and it might not have been activated, or it might have been rejected even through the painful journey. Sometimes there's a disassociation with it, a disconnection to it. However, it's so integral to women who not only want to be mothers in the physical sense of I'm mothering a child, but the consciousness that takes place, that inhabits us through the act of pregnancy and birth. A whole new consciousness is embodied, is awakened, that without that process can't be awakened in a woman. Through pregnancy, there's a shift in the physical body. It's even measured by science that the brain function changes, the brain changes, right? So it's a new consciousness takes place. It's birth, and we'll never be the same women. And the same energy of pregnancy and birth that births us into motherhood, that births a whole new consciousness, that takes a whole new consciousness on, a new skill, a new talent, a new sense of self that you can never come back from. You'll always hold that. You can't go back to the person that you were before that event. And it's if that holds trauma, the mother will never fully be able to utilize the power, the inherent power of this alchemical process of pregnancy and birth, which we can utilize in other areas of our lives. It's about how how do I conceive, carry, and birth a project, an idea, an inspiration, right? How successful am I doing that without negotiating my femininity, my sense of feminine power? Or like there's a masculine way to do that, but then my physical body or mental body or emotional body will suffer somewhere. If I'm not in alignment with my female cycle and my female power, yeah, and the female consciousness of birthing projects and ideas and bringing life to something new, because I'm holding trauma through either infertility or not finding the right relationship or birth trauma, etc., then I often don't access that energy in birthing projects. And it takes a toll on the connection as a woman to myself, or it can see projects either burn too quick and burn out or not getting properly successful. Generally, there are blocks somewhere in the process of bringing life to other elements and giving my whole self. Because what happens as a mother, the process of pregnancy and birth, if held, if properly held in love and properly prepared, if I'm fully connected and experience birth as a multidimensional, empowered format, you know, then birth is healing for the entire community. Yeah. If I'm in the face of Mother Earth, yeah, if women are an image of Pachamama, then how they are pregnant and birth and how they are held pregnant and birth will shift, will create a massive ripple in the fabric of this world energetically. Yeah, so a lot of traditional cultures say when a woman births well, if a woman is held well through birth and through pregnancy, the entire village will thrive through her birth for generations to come. Yeah. So what happens in our society? Yeah, we're so disconnected from birth. First time we deal with it is probably our own, you know. Few are lucky like me who have supported women through birthing process and got an in-depth connection to it. Because most of us, most women in societies watch movies and think that's how birth is, so that's what they expect. And that really isn't birth. Yeah. Birth is the most incredible journey and should be held by the women who love us, should be held in total, utter service and devotion by the women around us, that we feel we can be raw, we can be vulnerable, we face all of our fears, and then it becomes a proper rite of passage. It is one of the most important rites of passage for any woman. But unfortunately, society is rarely holding this in the honorable way that it should be. And it's not honoring the process of the mother integrating that consciousness. You know, we long forgotten about giving the mom 6 weeks of integration time post birth. Yeah. We've long forgotten to allow her time to really utilize the gifts and new consciousness that has taken shape. Yeah. So there's a lot of disassociation with it, and we, as a culture, have a really negative view on women actually embracing motherhood for a while as well, or judge the women that want to be successful while being mom. You know, there's too much judgment and so much separation in our society rather than actually coming from a communal perspective and connectivity. So, the most important thing that I'm trying to share with you here is that the moment birth was stolen and shifted and changed, and we narrowed our perspective on what is motherhood, we've disempowered ourselves. We lost touch with how to harness feminine energy to manifest, empower, and become, you know, the most powerful version of ourselves and utilize these extra senses, these extra skills and gifts of consciousness, you know, in future endeavors. You know, this mother archetype that also is able to fully self-sacrifice, to fully nourish and nurture. You know, we will need her in future archetypes, not to the same degree as in those years where she shares her energy field with her child. Yeah. She is one with that being, and that being feels her. But the trauma that she may feel or that she may reproduce, or the postnatal depression that might set in that she'll never shake, you know, is what blocks her from her full potential, from her full potential to be mother to either her children or her projects. Because that scar sits there and it's a festering wound that hasn't been dealt with. So if you have any birth trauma, or even your mom or your grandma or your great grandma or your great great grandma, you know, This place in the medicine wheel of womanhood is where we gotta heal it. Because you don't want to put this stuff forward in your line, because this is being shared forward. When I'm pregnant with a girl, yeah, I'm pregnant with my grandchild. And anything that happens to me, anything I'm holding, I'm thinking, is passed on forward. So really think about it carefully. This archetype is so important to heal because you're healing backward. You have to go backward, your ancestral line, and heal multiple generations to until you hit the first birth trauma down your line. And then you'll become the most empowered woman and stand in your might. So if you want to find out more, contact me and I'll speak to you soon.